cat, it was a present from my brother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind.
Well, there we are.
And let me do that. Now my mic's on. That's awesome. We need that, kind of, maybe.
Yeah, that's happened on more than one show.
Yes, it has.
I've had
awesome
viewers
surprise.
write to me privately to complain about the lack of microphone on your part.
You know what's funny is like, yeah, it's just so I could talk to Paul because otherwise Paul's in the dark. He's just like going, all right, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why.
Which
it's
is,
happening.
where I've spent much of my life, so it's okay.
You don't mind being in the dark.
Well, I didn't say it. I don't enjoy being kept in the dark, but it has happened, and I'm still standing.
And you're still standing. By the way, before we get, don't you have a show now? You're doing shows, your piano shows?
Yes, I have started playing again. I'm trying to do one show a month. My voice teacher is encouraging that I get out there and begin to work the instrument. So, yeah, it's been fun. I'm playing actually tomorrow at Chikiwawa, and they have a grand piano I get to play because, as we mentioned in the course of making another cup of coffee, which, by the way, we started it February 1st a year ago, back when everybody was still in lockdown, and so we were really enjoying talking to each other 3 times a week. And a couple dozen other people were too. Now everybody's out there in the world again, and we rarely get to do this, and we've lost all of our viewership except for 5 faithful people tuned in at this moment. And that's okay. I'm happy to see the world spinning. I'm certainly glad to be speaking again, and certainly pleased to be singing. It's been fun, and playing piano has been a nice surprise for both me and the audience.
Yes.
So
I think you should have started playing piano sooner. Like listening to you this morning, I was thinking, man, why didn't he should have started, he could have came out with this like 10 years ago before you even started to reinvent yourself. You're like, you know what? I am piano man, fucking, Pauly Joel, just up here, just playing the piano.
Well, I think it's just so perfect. The universe is perfect, of course, and we can't force things. And 10 years ago, I had to reinvent the songwriter Paul Sanchez to prove that point, which, it was, all ego, but it was proved. And now I'm old and I can't change that. So if I can transition into piano playing crooner type, that'll be perfect for my demographic, So I think the universe is completely on track.
It's a great instrument to sit down and play, even more comfortable than a guitar, really, right? I mean, you sit there, you don't have something on your lap, you just sit there, your hands are free. Like with a guitar, you're kind of
also
wrapped
like
up.
it makes more sense. Like John Rankin, who's one of the best guitar players in town, has said to me, the guitar is just not logical. The piano is completely logical. There's all the keys, they're all in a row. When you get to an octave, there they are again, same keys in the same formation. Whereas the guitar's got the G string. So you can't just go straight across the neck. You got to account for the G string when you're playing your leads, when you're chording and everything. And who knows how or why, but that's how it worked out for the guitar. And so it's less logical, and it's less linear for sure. And so, I don't know. I have a friend who I was in a band with when I was 20 years old, and he saw me playing piano on Facebook, and he posted that he'd been playing a lot of piano lately. And he was a really wonderful guitar. It is still a wonderful guitar player, but he plays piano, and he said he winds up playing it more than he does guitar for whatever reason.
And I think you're kind of in the same boat, right? I mean, when you sit down to play, you're playing piano these days, right? Mostly.
I almost never pick up the guitar. Like if I have a show tomorrow, so at some point today I'll probably try and remember a few songs on guitar. But I really enjoy sitting at the piano, and the hours seem to go by.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, like in the mood. It's something about the mood of piano. Just I don't know. It has a sort of a, especially the way you play it. It makes me start thinking of like looking back, and I get this whole sort of.
Well,
nostalgia.
one of my favorite records when I was a kid was when I was younger, was Sinatra's "Wee Small Hours," and now it's got a huge orchestra, but it's also got the main instrument is a really simply played piano. He's not doing big flourishes or anything. He's really sort of doing minimal chording, and Sinatra's voice sits on top telling a story, and So I I've loved those kinds of songs for all my life, and it's been fun to learn them on the piano. I didn't know how to play that kind of stuff on guitar, but through the miracle of iReal Book, I know how to chord complicated jazz chords on the piano.
And so, when we make your new record, of course, it's going to have to be like a YouTube record, of course, these days. You don't make records anymore, you just
Really, you just
make
go straight to YouTube.
you
Is that
got to
what it
make
is?
something a little bit of both, because this new visual medium with these kids, yeah, some people listen to Spotify. Don't get me wrong, although it seems like everybody's leaving Spotify all of a sudden, but
Well, I mean, I think I would leave, but nobody would notice. And
right. What's the point?
and that check that I get for 0.0004 wouldn't it would stop coming,
It would stop coming. That's
So
right.
that's
Speaking of
point
Superman,
zero
remember that?
zero zero four cents I didn't have before, man.
I was thinking, that's where they remind me of. I don't know if you ever saw Superman 3, but Richard Pryor's character in there figures out how to get rid of all the half cents and move them into his account. Like, when everything breaks up the fraction wrong and it's not, down to, hundredths or whatever it is, he takes all that little extra money and figures out how to steal it.
Hmm.
And anyway, that's Spotify to me. It's like, how did you break it down to, I mean, how can I get like 0.00001 of a penny? How does that get broken down? I don't, what are you going to send me some?
It's quite something,
How
the
does my bank
business
even
was
know what to do with this, right? I mean, it's like you get in here,
it
does
was
it
never
even,
set up for the artist to be the winner anyway.
right,
You
right.
know, Louis Armstrong was asked about his Hot Five recordings, which a lot of people consider the founding recordings of jazz music. And they said, it's been reissued like a dozen times on different labels in Columbia. And how much have you made off of all that? And he said, well, we got $36 a man for the session when we did it that day. And the interviewers expressed surprise, and he said, well, $36 a man was good money back then. And Mr. OK owned the label, so we thought it was all right that he was keeping all the money for the records. And that's how the record business got started. And they've been trying to figure out a way to get back to that ever since.
Yes, they have.
And we're there,
Yes.
but I mean, it's a strange world. I mean, all these big giant songwriters like Neil Diamond selling his publishing, and Bruce Springsteen selling his publishing, and Bob Dylan selling his publishing. Imagine the irony for Paul McCartney, who spent 40 years of his life trying to buy back his publishing and John Lennon's publishing that they had lost in the early days of the Beatles. Literally spent 40 years. Almost got it back in the 80s, and then Michael Jackson was making a record with him, and Paul let it slip that he was about to buy it back, and Michael Jackson made a better deal, and he bought the publishing right there from under his nose. And, Paul waited till he died, and then he let Columbia know that he had one more record to make for him. He'd be glad to make it if he could just please have his publishing back. No special deal, no special offer, pay full price. I'm rich, I'm Paul McCartney, just want my songs. So 40 years later, he gets them back. And then about 15 years after that, they're not worth anything anymore, and everybody's selling their publishing.
Yeah.
Life is
Although they,
ironic.
it is, but they are selling it for a lot of money. I mean,
Alanis was right.
Springsteen's went for like some $1 billion or something. Wasn't it some crazy number that Springsteen's
Yeah,
went
I don't
for?
know. I mean, I'd
It's not
go
like
for
it's
so much
worthless. I
less.
mean, it's worth a lot of money. But you got to remember, I mean, after Paul got all that publishing back, then he started doing all those reissues and Love and all those other things. Up there's
Well,
Luis.
I mean, but those guys are sort of like, especially in Dylan's case, he's in his 80s. And a friend of mine who was an accountant said maybe he just did it so his family wouldn't fight over his money, or rather his records when he went. Now everybody knows what their portion is because here's the money and it's split up this way. I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely something. It's I can't see it affecting artists on our level of songwriting, but
Right.
you know,
I had a couple of friends who called me up talking about buying back music and stuff, and trying to buy the publishing of all these small acts, and I guess I don't have any imagination, but I don't see where there's a lot of money in that myself. It's like
well, I mean, I don't know how you make money off of music these days. I mean,
right
some young person might be able
you
to tell me,
sell it
but
to commercials and I mean, that's kind of the route
commercials
these days.
and television and film
Movies
is the only thing
yeah.
left paying. And I'm sure they're trying to get around it too if they can. Everybody
Right.
else did. Fuck, why shouldn't they try at least? But I don't know. I mean, I guess I could ask Shamar Allen if there's a way on YouTube of making a lot of money, or I really don't. I don't know
Well, I mean, you could
how
do the influencer thing where you get a lot of subscribers. I mean, we never quite got there, but if you'd had 1,000 subscribers, we could have eventually monetized your YouTube stuff that we were doing here. But we never could get enough subscribers to even get
yeah.
into the game. But I
Yeah,
mean,
well, it's hard to. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I
It's like
know figuring out ways
it's
to
such a different
monetize.
game. Like it's not for me. It's not trying to get the subscribers into the game. It's like, do I want to get into that game?
Right,
Like
right,
I've had a nice run, and I'm at a demographic that I'd be swimming upstream anyway because I'm 60. I'm going to be 63 in November, which means my audience is older and less apt to both purchase and go out. That's just how it works. And
right,
so, do I want to try and do TikTok and get in tune with young people? No, they should come and get in tune with me. Slow down a bit.
right. Not to
Come
mention
on.
we couldn't get in tune with the
Come,
kids if we
come
wanted
learn
to.
how to
Not
savor. Follow your Uncle Paul.
right. It's sort of not the way it's not the way humanity's ever worked, right? I mean, they don't go looking for the old. They're trying to forge their
Well,
new.
there are a select few in every generation who, I mean,
Yeah, I guess so.
that's how our generation, your generation, found out about the Beatles. Let's face it, they were more my generation than yours. That's how, I found out about Sinatra and Johnny Hartman and John Coltrane, both those records that so influenced and Nat King Cole, was from the generation before. So some kid out there will go looking for something old, and I'll get 0.0005 cents.
Or some kids from Nashville will go, man, the name of that song is awesome. Do you mind if we license just the name? Like, we're going to write our own song, but we just want to have Jet
They
Black and
use some of the
Jealous.
lyrics. Did that
They
happen
did
to
use
y'all?
some of the lyrics. Gotcha.
Was you're referring to mine?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Yeah, they used some of the lyrics. I mean, they were completely gentlemen about it.
Of course.
They changed a lot,
Hmm.
and I don't know how upset I might have been, but that song
In the old
certainly
days,
Jet
you might
Black
have
and
been
Jealous.
upset. You might have been like, fuck you. If you don't like the song, don't use it. But,
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
It's like if they just would have released it without asking me, I think I would have just gone, "That's so fucking weird." Somebody called this song "Jeff Black and Jealous" and mentioned movie queens. What's the chances of that even happening?
Right.
But
Did they dream
they
about it? How
were
did they? Right.
they were upfront and called me back in the days when people still called and talked on the phone and all that kind of thing. And the song been Betty Betty good to me.
Betty Good. So I see Luis actually did show up, but then now he's gone again.
Oh, he's gone again.
Yeah, we were in the middle of a conversation, so oh no, he's back. There he comes. All right, let's bring him out. Let's bring the kid out.
Oh,
Hey,
look at
what's
him, how
going
cold he
on,
is.
kid? Oh my
Hey,
I
God!
want you
kid.
to know, Luis, it's cold here too. It's 38 degrees.
Oh,
Is that a beeper on your head? Is that a
it's
beeper?
not a, it's not a beeper. It's a light.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
trust me. When you're shoveling snow at night, you need the shit. Like, what the heck? You gotta know where the hell you're going sometimes, or like, you're putting in the groceries and it's cold. You're like, where the freak did that can of soup go? So
So
trust me.
you're available for the show today because you're snowed
I got
in.
10 minutes. I got 10 minutes because I have a meeting at 9:30. So
But you literally couldn't drive to work. You're snowed in.
I don't drive to work right now. We're still working from home.
Oh, you're still working from home.
Yeah, we're still working from home.
Yeah,
But
I did see where your neighbor lent you the snowplow so that you could clean the streets for everybody.
well, I did it for more my benefit than for anybody else's because I have a small snowplow, right? And when I bought that was only meant to take care of my house. But then when you look down the street, the old widow lady, then you look down the other street, the lady whose kids are not useful, you just start doing the whole thing. And then you're just like, you know what? Like to your point, I'll be the youngest one in the neighborhood here. And let me just take care of this whole thing. And, you snowplow.
You big softy. You
How
big
much are you
No.
charging your
softy. I
neighbors
love
for
that.
this? How much are you
Was
charging
that-
your neighbors? What are you charging your neighbors for this?
Are you kidding? I charge nothing, man. The first day when it snowed, the first day when it snowed, I was like, I do not want to go outside. Jesus heard my prayers. A kid came to my house with a shovel. He said, I'll do 10 for the front, 10 for the back. Man, I never heard such a good deal before in my life. I'm like, so get this done, and I was just like, oh, thank God this kid came with the shovel. So, yeah, I mean, it's been...
The first day it snowed.
Yeah, the first day it snowed. I mean, trust me. And the second day it snowed, I was like, spoiled. I'm like, where's this kid again with the shovel, But, you got to remember that, it's not so much the temperature, it's the wind chill. You can have a day where it's 20 degrees and it's fine, right? You can have a day that's quote unquote 33 degrees, but if that wind's blowing, forget about it. That's one we just do not want to be outside. So
that's why they call it the hawk wind.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
I know we only have a few minutes with you. There's so much to cover, Luis.
Oh,
One
gosh.
is that you're taking classes at Second City.
I am taking classes. I am.
I'm so excited for you. That's fantastic.
Thanks. I mean, it was one of these things where I've decided I don't know what's gotten into me, right? So I've gone back to boxing, right? So doing boxing again, and then I just and I've been trying to do my guitar still, and that
So
D chord.
ironically, you're doing one thing where you're practicing for stand up, and the other thing where you're practicing to get knocked down.
I tell you, dude, that D chord was it going from the D to the A minor or something? Just the fingering on that thing. I stopped taking the actual classes, and I had to get that transition smooth. So if I'm watching like something on Netflix, there I am just strumming, just making sure.
Can I give you a trick that guitar players actually use? We don't play. I know you have those pretty pictures that show you the whole chord. We don't play the whole chord to get back and forth to passing notes. We play as much of it as we can finger until we can get the whole thing fingered, and then we play the rest of it.
Oh.
You don't just have to jump into that chord and play the whole damn thing. You hit the A note on top with the little E thing down, and you're like, okay, now I'm in the A, and then you can play the third after that. You don't have to like jump from like Spider-Man from one chord to the next. You can work your way into chords.
Yeah. That sounds
just
very awesome.
Just a little help. Just a little help.
I appreciate that. Really. Now it's like I just hit one of those things where like everything you learned is a lie, and now you gotta like say what.
That's just how life
My
is.
whole brain's gonna be like,
So,
what did I?
I wanted to actually and to publicly apologize, Luis, to you, because I was really on you about how you didn't know enough about the Beatles before the documentary came out, and then I started delving into some Marvel movies that I hadn't seen. And I just couldn't hang. I just thought, okay, I can see like the Eternals. I couldn't do it, man.
I finally watched the Eternals.
It was not the Kung Fu movie. It was not an easy sit through.
You didn't like Shang-Chi?
I liked it. I didn't know if it had anything to do with the Marvel world.
Oh, it will. But I mean, Shang-Chi was a good standalone movie too.
I
don't mind it.
Spider-Man's best friend has some kind of power that gets him working with Doctor Strange.
Oh, you haven't
kid that
seen the
started doing
Spider-Man?
spells.
You haven't seen.
Right. Yes, the kid. Well, he was actually in the comics. He was actually Hobgoblin, right? His character's name.
Yeah. He eventually, and Ned Leeds actually is like the Hobgoblin at one point. Did you actually watch the Spider-Man movie though?
Of course, yes.
Wasn't that amazing though? Dude, all three Spider-Man, spoiler alerts, right? But all three Spider-Man in one movie, dude. It
was pretty great.
My favorite thing is sort of how they sort of gave, especially Andrew McCarthy's characters, like some closure. It's like, I just really liked, not Andrew McCarthy, the kid, middle Spider-Man.
Garfield.
I was like, where was Blade in this movie?
Right. No, McCarthy used to be. He was like. He was one of those Brat Pack kids.
One of the John Hughes kids. That's right. I just watched Pretty in Pink the other day. And I'm like, what was Blade? He played the character Blade. Like, what was Blade?
Right. That's where not Blade. I got you. Yeah.
I said Blade, not Blade. Blade. Okay. That's an appliance, not a game.
No, I meant Blade.
He said
like
to
blave,
which means to bluff.
You know, play cards, liar. yeah, so yeah, so that on top of the guitar,
Which?
and it had to take Second City, do it with Second City. So I've been trying to keep busy in the evenings, and that just goes overtime into my sleep. But I've been enjoying it, Like
So
this
Professor
week,
Funny, we were kind of wondering, like, can you tell us like since you've been working at Second City, can you tell us like a joke like right off the bat? Can you like?
gosh, dude, no, man, it's well. Here's the funny part. Today's okay, so they're just classes, right? It's a class every Saturday, and this week we had to write 31-liners out of the blue. And we're going to have to go and talk about these 31-liners in class, so we have to read off all these 30. I came out to about 42 on purpose, and I've been reading them back to people. And of course, especially your friends, they know the level of funny you are, and they know you're not funny, right? So especially my brother, he knows I'm not funny. So I'm over reading him these jokes, and he's like, Luis, that's not funny. And I'm like, I know, but I'm trying. I know, I'm really...
Yeah,
but the more he said it wasn't...
Yeah, we all caught it.
Yeah, it's like...
People who aren't watching caught it.
Yeah, the more he said I wasn't funny, the funnier I thought it was, right? So that was not a good mindset to be in,
Well,
so,
can you tell us one of these not funny jokes? Just one.
Oh, gosh. All right. Fine, And, of course, you base everything off right? So, of course, I had to throw some of my mom, stories in there, And my mom one time told me, she goes, Luis, you realize that growing up in Mexico, I had the opportunity to marry rich, good-looking men. And I said, so why did you marry Dad?
It's not funny. I mean, that was even a pity laugh. That's one of those ones.
That's why I'm laughing. See, but again, it couldn't be good or bad. You just write down whatever's coming to you.
Gotcha.
I mean, there's one even where I had to eliminate it, where I said, winter should be known as the fall season.
So it's a stand-up or an improv class? That's what we got questions.
This was a stand-up class, right?
This is a stand-up class. Okay.
And of course, but see, that's the thing. One time, Jerry Seinfeld, I remember watching this one show. Jerry Seinfeld said, listen, you're lucky if 10% of your material falls. And so we get used to being blessed with all these comedians that we see these things on TV, we see them already performing them, and they're already like jokes that are tested. A lot of these guys go to, open mics, and they'll literally go up there and say, hey, what do you guys think of this? Check this out. What do you think? And then people are like, nope, like it, nope, don't like it. And they add that to the repertoire, or they take it out of their repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not feeling as bad when you're like, Luis, that's not funny. I'm like, I get it, but those are the ones that I have on top of my head,
Well, the funny thing
go ahead.
I was just gonna say about comedians these days is like part of it is the personality that's delivering the lines.
Yes.
Back in the day, and you had your Milton Berles, your Don Rickles guys. They were just like doing off one-liners. Bob Newhart. It wasn't so much the character as the joke and the wordplay made the joke. But now it's the character that delivers it. That sort of, there's so many of the big comedians now that it's more about who they are and how they deliver stuff that makes it funny. Like, you can't tell half their jokes and make it funny because it's not about the joke. It's about the character that's delivering the joke and the point of view. And so it's a strange time.
Let me do this real quick. Let me drop off. I'm not going to hang up. Hide me. And if I get done before 10, I'll come right back.
Got you. Well, just real quick before... I know you have to go. But when you come back,
He's got to go.
You go.
He's got to go.
When you get back.
He's got to go.
Okay, thank you.
See you later. I'm going to turn him off in my ear because.
Anyway, I got to mention something before we go on. One is that I've been drinking my coffee here from our official Another Cup of Coffee mug that Amy Beer both had made and drove to New Orleans because she's riding in the Crew of Tux this year. And so she came into town to do the Crew of Tux ball and to get her Mardi Gras throws. And she gave me several Another Cup of Coffee mugs as a gift. And so at some point, when our viewership is back up, we'll run a big contest. and really send this thing through the roof.
By the way, so far I'm very
Yeah,
slow
you're not
in
drinking out of it. You're not
February.
even using yours.
But I told you the story. My wife
Oh
switched
yeah.
to decaf.
So what do you? So what? So how did that affect your coffee cup choice?
Well, because this is a bigger cup, and I can't really make a pot, because it's kind of rude to take up the
that
whole
is the
pot.
cup that Randy gave you, though.
But it is the cup that Randy gave me, and it's a big football
Okay,
cup.
that's cool. That's
Speaking
cool.
of speaking of football, go Cincinnati! Oh my God!
Yeah, pretty amazing, really. I mean, the Chiefs
Wow.
didn't. They're pretty incredible team. You know, that
Yes.
kid Mahomes is just ungodly good. You know,
I know.
I really thought there's no chance. You know,
Me too. Especially in the
They got
first
the
half. You're like,
fastest
well,
guy in the
game's over.
NFL with Tyreek Hill, who basically their offense sometimes is just Patrick Mahomes runs around till Tyreek Hill is far enough away from anybody for him to throw him the ball, and then nobody can possibly catch that dude. He's so fast.
Right.
So it's crazy, but yeah, and then I don't know if you saw the picture, but Tyler Shelvin carried Joe Burrow off the field when they won the national championship at LSU, and he carried him off the field that day when they won the AFC.
No
Pretty
kidding.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
he's
killer.
got Tyler Shelvin on his offensive line from LSU. He's got Jamar Chase from LSU. The tight end is a guy named Sample who went to Tulane. And one of the wide receivers is a guy named Stanley Morgan Jr. who grew up in New Orleans. He didn't go to a state college, but he grew up in New Orleans and went, I think, to Texas or something. So it's quite the New Orleans selection. And, of course, Von Bell, who was a number 1 or number 2 draft pick for the Saints and was a good player here. And Trey Hendrickson, who left us because of the salary cap, but when he left us, he had 13 and a half sacks. And then Eli Apple, who unfortunately I liked, and then he came out with this trash talking video about New Orleans, and so now you got to say, well, they take a lot of shots to the head. You don't know.
Yeah. But I saw even by the Dome. I drove by the Dome coming from work the other day, and I saw Go Jamar. Like, so, you know, everybody's on board.
Now there are some Rams. Andrew Whitworth is an offensive tackle for the Rams, who's an LSU guy, and really he's like a 13-year, maybe 14-year veteran. And it's his first chance to win a Super Bowl. So that's a sentimental favorite, too. And, of course, Odell Beckham Jr., who has been amazing, really, because he was kind of known to have an attitude with the Giants and with the Browns. And perhaps it was just coaching, because he went there, and he's not the number 1 receiver. Cooper Kupp is. He's a situation receiver. He's excelled at the position. He instantly gained Matthew Stafford's trust. Stafford throws him the ball in a lot of tight moments in the game, and he's doing great, you know.
And I do love the Stafford. You know, I mean, here's a guy who's just such a great quarterback for the Detroit Lions all these years. He reminds me of Archie. Like, he's with this team that's never going to go, never going to make it there, you know, but he's a great quarterback. But he's just, you know, the Detroit just never could put it all together. It just wasn't never going to happen. But he kept them in a lot of games. You know, Stafford kept them in games and made them.
Absolutely. No, he's a great quarterback, and he deserves his shot. So it's an interesting Super Bowl, and we got
2 underdogs, which is also kind of I guess.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, that part of it's fun too.
You know, when Archie left the Saints and went to Minnesota, he actually got selected over Tommy Kramer, over their starting quarterback, to be the starter that year, and he was going to have a chance to be on a team that was a contender. And he had a medical condition, and he was honest enough to tell the coach that it was going to keep him from maintaining the position, and he had to retire. But he was, you know, he was going to get his shot. And in my opinion, Archie deserves to be in the NFL Hall of Fame anyway. If you ever look at the roster for the Manning Passing Academy, it's like people that are in the NFL that went to the Manning Passing Academy, that the NFL owes him a spot in the Hall of Fame. I'm talking Pro Bowl quarterbacks, wide receivers, unbelievable contribution to the NFL game. He's sending them groomed players who out of high school who go on to college success and pro success. And I'm not kidding when I say, I mean, if I sent you the list, it would blow your mind.
Not to mention his 2 sons.
Cooper
His 2
Kupp is on
sons
that
who
list.
won Super Bowls. You know, I mean, just
this Super Bowl. Cooper Kupp is on that list. Odell Beckham Jr. is on that list. Joe Burrow is on that list.
wow.
Jamar Chase is on that list. You know,
So
I mean,
you know
just
much
this
about Joe
Super Bowl
Burrow.
alone.
So the kid comes from Ohio, right? He was trying to play in Ohio.
He comes from not too far from Cincinnati, a really poor town near Cincinnati. Yeah,
that's what I thought, right? And he came to LSU just because they were going to play him, and he couldn't get playing time in Ohio where
at
he was
Ohio State. They told him he wouldn't be a starter.
And so he was like, you know what? I'll go where I can be a starter. And he goes and wins a championship. I love the story. I mean, just, the story.
Well, he won a Heisman Trophy and a national championship. And no quarterback in the history of the NFL has ever won a Heisman Trophy, a national championship, and a Super Bowl. So if he won, he would be the first to ever do it.
Now, the only ones that have won, because there's some list with Joe Montana's on it and somebody else that won a national championship and a Super Bowl. It was a Heisman winner and a Super Bowl. Gotcha.
Yeah, I believe Montana was a Heisman winner.
Can't imagine because he came out. Well, the thing is like Montana didn't play a whole lot in college. Like they just kept putting him in as a third string quarterback, and he'd win games.
Yeah, he wasn't a first rounder out of college.
So he wouldn't have been
one of the greatest quarterbacks.
I think it's a national championship. There's only two other quarterbacks that won a national championship and a Super Bowl. Montana's one of them. There's another. I can't remember the other quarterback, but Montana was one of them, and then Joe Burrows if he wins. But I just, Chase, the way they came back, it was just such a fun game. And then my wife actually has been watching the playoffs.
I left the game it was 21-3, I think, and I just thought, too bad. The kid he had a nice run, and I walked over to a friend's house to watch the rest of the game, like a block and a half away, or 2 blocks or whatever it was. I get there and it's like, they're about to tie the game. What the hell happened?
Right. It was great. So my wife watched for the first time in a long time, and we were watching that game before, not the Titans, Cincinnati. No, it was the game. What was the game? Oh, it was the Kansas City Chiefs. Right, it was the Chiefs that were playing.
It was the Chiefs versus Cincinnati.
No, not this past week. The week before.
The week
I'm sorry.
Before. Oh, gotcha. The week before.
The Chiefs won that game that kept going back and forth with that killer
the Steelers,
young quarterback.
Right? The Steelers.
No, it was the Buffalo Bills. With that killer.
Oh, that was a great game. That was an amazing game.
Josh Taylor, is that his name? Because that kid's amazing.
Josh Allen.
That kid's amazing.
That kid. Yeah, he is. He's
and my wife decided then she didn't like Mahomes. She's like, I like the Josh kid better than Mahomes. And I'm like, I get it because, Mahomes he comes off like a villain. He's a big, tough guy. He's out there. He's
got swagger. He's got big swagger.
And so, for certain women are like, I don't like the big swagger.
Mahomes won a Super Bowl. He didn't have that same swagger before he won that Super Bowl.
I don't know, man. The kid's always been really good, but
he's always been really good. But there was an innocence to what he was doing, the no-look passes and all that stuff. Because there's a great story about Pete Maravich when he was at LSU. He did a play that he became famous for, where he's dribbling the ball and he's looking one way and he slaps the ball to the other way, and a guy's there, but nobody knows because he's not looking that way. And the referee called him for walking, and Maravich looked at the referee and said, "How can you call it walking when you've never seen anybody do it before?"
Right. Right. That's great.
Same thing with Mahomes. You've never seen anybody do the stuff the kid could do, and then it became something that was a part of who he is and expected of him. And plus, he's not a college kid anymore. He's a full-grown NFL man. He's been in the league 5 years now, and been to the Super Bowl twice at least, whatever the hell.
Twice, I think.
Yeah, he's the real deal. Whereas Josh Allen,
yeah.
He's where Mahomes was when he won his first Super Bowl. He's young and he's a team player and it's all new and it's all exciting and it's hard not to like innocence. Innocence is
and he's
fun
another one of these
old.
big boys who's a running back by himself. You don't even have to. It's like I don't need a running back. I'll be the running back myself. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's big like Taysom Hill big. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
And yeah.
He's a much better passer than Taysom Hill, unfortunately.
Well, in Taysom's defense, when he graduated college, he went to do what the Mormon kids do. It's 2 or 4 years of service wherever they sent him in the world. And I'm proud of him. That's your faith and that's your belief. But there are kids that spent their entire lives since they were 5 years old training to be NFL quarterbacks every moment of every day. And those are the kids that go on to greatness. And you can't step away for 2 to 4 years from that regimen and come back and expect to be as good as the kids around you your age. It's not going to happen. It's a lifetime. He's got a big heart, and he's a hell of a player and a fantastic athlete.
Right.
But quarterback is a real skill position, and hours and hours and hours that, let's say Jameis Winston was putting in that same period of time, because they're close in age.
Right.
Taysom wasn't.
Right. He was off building, irrigation systems and whatever they do.
He was doing the Lord's work, whatever, Joseph Taylor's work or whatever. I don't know the Mormon religion. I don't want to offend anybody. He was doing somebody's work.
Right.
He was doing good stuff.
So, since we're on the thing of sports, my daughter, senior in college, she's working on her 6th championship.
Wow.
Well, since high school, she had 3 championships in high school, and then this will be the 3rd championship in college if they get it. Now, she was in all 3 of the previous championship games they were in, but they won 2 and they lost 1, so you don't get a ring for the one you lost. So she's got 2 rings in college. She has 3 rings from high school.
Nice.
And she's a few games away from, getting her final championship. They're calling her Tom Brady on the team because she's got,
That's awesome.
It's going to have 6 championships if they can pull it off. And it's looking pretty good. They lost 2 of their main starters this year, still 2, and then Allie stepped up and sort of filled in the void, and a couple other players have stepped up.
Nice.
And they're still... There's no way that they should still be winning these games with the players they lost, because they lost 2 of their main players besides Allie, and they're still doing it. They're still winning, and it's...
Well, that's how it works, man.
It's been a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that she can get her final championship and just sort of... So we asked her, we're like, do you want a college ring? And she's like, I already got 2 championship rings, and I'm hoping to get a 3rd one this year. So no, I don't need the college ring. I'll keep my championship rings.
Funny.
So that was her. Last year she had them all in one hand.
Lou Gehrig had the Ironman streak in baseball, longest starting streak in baseball, because a guy named Wally Pipp was sick.
Wow. So he came in for Wally Pipp.
He came in for Wally Pipp, and he kept the job, man.
Wow.
So
yeah, it just happens one day at a time, right?
Happens. Yeah. You show up and play ball. Good for her. And now you have other daughter news too, right?
Yes, and so my other daughter got married over the weekend in California. So we went out to California.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was a beautiful service, and we're probably going to edit some of it. There was a Zoom thing that happened, but we're going to probably edit some stuff and throw it online so that they can... And they read their vows just like their mom and dad did. They had a really small service just like mom and dad did. It was really kind of cute that it was so similar. And she had no idea that was... I mean, she was there. She walked down the aisle with the flowers. She was the flower girl or whatever, but she was a year old and didn't remember any of it. So it was kind of funny.
Awesome.
It's like, this is a lot like the way me and your mom got married, and it was cute. But it was nice seeing her. We hadn't seen her in 2 years. We realized 2.5 years, COVID.
Oh, wow, the pandemic, sure.
Pandemic, you don't see people for a couple of years. And then Luis is still at home. How many people that are watching, whoever's watching, you guys still at home? I don't know. I mean, I've been working.
I didn't know that he was still working from home like that. Most of the people I knew that were working from home
started going back to work.
Had to go back. Had to. I mean, people that are like, I'd work from home if I could, but
Right.
So I don't know. We'll have to. That's an interesting question.
I had another question here. Somebody wants to know if there's ever any chance that you will do one of your shows, piano shows, as a web stream. And I think if once you put it out there on to your base or whatever, but especially for people that are out of town that maybe can't make it here or whatever, if they're willing to, it would cost us a little bit to do it, possibly not much, but a little bit. And if they want to, buy some tickets or whatever, we can try to make it happen where you can do a show. Live.
I don't know how any of that works. I did that with the Wright brothers.
Just ask the people if they're interested.
Andre Boren did all the, Andre did everything.
Yeah, no, I'll handle all that part of it. Just ask if they're interested. If you can find enough people that are interested in it, then let's take a look at doing it. Because I was already thinking about doing it anyway, and we could just do it from your place.
Streaming thing.
Yeah.
No, I'd want a nice. I want.
You'd want to do it somewhere, right?
Yeah, piano, a big.
Yeah. A big piano, not your little cute piano. You want something big. And
I like my piano. It's a nice piano. It's a beautiful piano. My wife got it for me.
Okay, so
an estate sale during the pandemic.
Not anything bad about the piano. You're the one who said you didn't want to use that piano. You want to use a real piano.
Well, I didn't say a real piano. I was like, maybe a grand piano would be nice, or
grand piano. Maybe one of the Chicky Wawa shows. We can figure out a way to stream out of Chihuahua. I mean, he's got the setup
Maybe.
for it.
No, but there's all kinds of possibilities.
There's all kinds of possibilities. But let's just find out if it's something people really want to see.
Anybody cares about it all.
Anybody who cares about it all. If there's enough people who think it's a thing, let us know and we'll make it happen. If there's only one guy out there that's going to watch, then yeah, you're probably going to have to come to town.
My fans are very loyal. There's just less and less of them. But the ones that are there are very loyal.
Very loyal. That's right. So who knows? Maybe they're interested. But I called you about that a little while back because I actually signed up for this.
I wasn't listening then either, so that's perfect.
I'd signed up for this service to do something for these other guys, and I'm just realizing, what's today? Today I think I have a thing. I have to go make sure that I deal with it today. But it's a website where you can stream music and stuff. And I'd set something up for a rap show that was supposed to happen that never did happen. So I was like, well, I got it set up and paid for. Maybe we could do one with Paul.
We're getting towards the end of the show, but one other bit of news that came up while we were not doing this anymore is that Sean Payton is part of the big resignation.
I know, right? I honestly thought that they might try to go after like a real quarterback like Tom Brady for a year, like, go try to see if you can get Russell Wilson or see if you can Aaron Rodgers, whatever.
I think well they have a Super Bowl defense this year. And I don't know how many of them they're going to hang on to. But
right.
He offensively, you really didn't have much to work with. You had Alvin.
Didn't have enough to work with.
And then
he did really well with what he had to work with, to be honest.
To be honest with you, I thought it was his best year of head coaching.
Right.
Because, I mean, of a 53-man squad, he lost 22 starters, something like that, something crazy, and had to come up with game plans.
All four of his fucking quarterbacks?
All four of his quarterbacks. I mean, Alvin Kamara was considered a quarterback at one point, He was,
right.
He was a backup QB at one point. So, I mean, it had to be it was one of the most challenging seasons I've ever seen anybody have to coach. And for him to pull out a winning record, I thought, well, this guy is as great a coach as everybody always said he was, because he just proved it. He didn't have much to work with, just missed the playoffs. And the Rams, those dirty dogs, they should have won that game, but they didn't have to.
Right.
So their hearts weren't really in it,
And part of it might have been like, well, who would you rather face, New Orleans or San Francisco? I'd rather face San Francisco. Who knows? I mean, you don't really try.
Who knows? It's any given Sunday, but those dirty bastards. All they had to do was win. It wouldn't have changed shit for them. They were going to the playoffs either way. All they had to do was win. Oh, well.
Another thing that was
any great coach will tell you when you're in the position where somebody else has to win for you to make the playoffs, then you didn't do your job.
And who beat Tampa? It was Rams that beat Tampa, right? If I remember correctly, they were using New Orleans.
I believe
scheme.
So, yeah.
They were using New Orleans scheme to beat them, because New Orleans beat Tampa twice this year. And they had a good scheme against Tom Brady. They shut him down. They just, and the Rams apparently started, hey, you know what? Let's just take a few pages out of New Orleans' book here. And
anyway, but not to get lost in football, but Sean Payton was a great coach, and it was.
We'll miss him.
He said something interesting. He said, in this job, you either leave as a villain after a couple of losing seasons, or you leave as a hero, and I'm choosing to leave as a hero. So, good for him.
Kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be coaching for the Cowboys in 2023
we
or 4.
We were already talking about that. If he doesn't take one of these other Jimmy Johnson type gigs. But, I mean, the Cowboys is such a dead-end gig. I mean, he's here for New Orleans for 15 years. He could write his ticket. The guys that go to Dallas, if you don't win, Jerry Jones kicks you out after a couple. You get 2 years. And if you don't win,
I don't know what the Cowboys' fixation is, but it seems to be mutual. I really don't know, but I wish him luck. He brought us a Super Bowl.
Me too. And he seems to have always wanted to play for Dallas. I mean, I worked with Dallas. It's since even when he took the gig here, Jerry Jones told him, by the way. Jerry Jones told him, because when he took the gig here, he wanted the gig there, and Jerry said, I'm not giving you a head coaching job. And so, because I read his book, and he said, well, I'm going to go to New Orleans, and he goes, you're not ready. He told me, you're not ready to head coach yet. And Sean didn't agree with him. So he went and took the gig in New Orleans. And
on extreme conditions, trying to come back after Katrina, being dislocated to another city, playing out of San Antonio. I mean, the man faced adversity as a head coach. This season alone, Hurricane Ida kept him out of town for a month, and the pandemic and everything. And through it all, we were consistently a winning team who made the playoffs and won its division multiple times. And as people who grew up Saints fans, it took some getting used to.
Right. Well, I mean, and Breeze was a big part of it. I mean, Breeze was here the whole time, and Breeze just retired a year ago, and
it had to be difficult for Sean to even stay the extra season because they were so joined. They were such a team. And he, even in his press conference, said he had thought about retiring before the season. So it crossed his mind, and he steered us through a really tough season, and it's going to be interesting to see what becomes.
By the way, did you hear that they had called him up? They'd reached out to Breeze at some point in the middle of the season. I think it was towards the end when we didn't have any quarterbacks. Everybody was sick. The week that all the COVID, and we actually started Boot, or the kid. The week we started the kid, they'd reached out to Breeze and said, "Hey, do you want to come back and play a game?" And he's like, "Guys, I can't come back and play a game. I haven't worked out in a year. What are you talking about?
Right.
I'm not coming out there and playing a game."
That was a crazy idea. That was a crazy idea. Well, although somebody who had retired, Phillip Rivers, let it be known that he would have come out of retirement to play and was ready, and they didn't want to do it. And I thought, well, that's interesting because he's got way more gun left in him than Drew did when he retired. His arm was still. Kidding. I mean, well, he didn't have what he had as a kid, but he still could throw the ball a mile and was a top-tier quarterback. But we saw the season through with Trevor Siemian, and God bless,
God bless, I know. And I for a minute, I thought Siemian might be okay, but, he.
Anyway.
Look, we got Mark says he'd pay for a stream for sure. We got people up here saying they'd pay for a stream. Wow. So some of these people haven't seen you in like 5 years or more. So you got some fans around in different parts of the world that say.
Well, I mean, it's been 2 years since I've been anywhere because of the pandemic.
Right.
And then 2 years before that, I was all the throat problems and all that, the surgeries and stuff. So really, I stopped touring in November 2018, or October 2018, actually.
So no kidding. Yeah, it looks like you've got a handful of people around the country that might tune in. So who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe we can make it happen. Might be fun. Oh, look who shows back up for the end of the show. You want to let him back in?
Of course.
Let me let the kid back in.
Let's 7 minutes.
Back in. Hold on a second. Here's the kid. There's the kid.
We haven't even talked about Boba Fett.
No, we haven't talked about Boba Fett.
I just got into this week. Because I watched it like the first episode, and it really didn't grab me, and I just sort of let it go. But I was also doing stuff while I was watching it, and this time I couldn't sleep. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. I put it on, and I thought, Jon Favreau is a freaking genius. There's so many iconic Star Wars moments. He's in the jaw of the monster from Return of the Jedi.
The Sarlacc.
He's in the belly of the monster. And then there's so many references to the classic moments in Star Wars, and it's pretty great stuff. I think Favreau just loves the genre and is really great at movie making.
Yes, I've always loved Favreau, and he gets Go ahead.
Was it Mike? Was it you that said that when he was hiring all these production people, he told people, he said, "Listen, you may know the job, but you have to love Star Wars. Do you know your Star Wars? He wanted people who would not just be this as a job. It's the passion along with the job. And
because what I really loved about The Mandalorian and about this one is they get the fact that the very first Star Wars was really just a Western in outer space. It was dusty and dirty, and there were clear good guys and bad guys, and it was a Western in outer space. They burned down the house, and you go and you get revenge. And really, it brought that feeling of the first Star Wars back. I felt like I was on Tatooine, again. It was, and then I didn't know he was the guy until the second episode when I was watching credits. And I'm like, oh, it's Favreau. Of course, it's awesome.
Right. He wrote the whole thing again. Right. How far into it did you get, by the way?
I was only 2 episodes in, and then I had stuff to do today, so I
no, it's all good. Some stuff happens later.
Here's what made me laugh. I'm over here like finishing my jokes last night up, trying to work on that masterpiece of a disaster. And And I get the Facebook message of probably like, I'm loving Boba Fett. And I was like, when I opened going, he's probably only seen the first episode. You know? And I was like, I'm not going to do the whole WandaVision thing on him, but I'm just like, yeah, he's only one episode in. You know? I mean,
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
and
Right.
Mike knows what I'm talking about because like that third episode, it goes, wait, this is going such in a good way. What did you do? You know? And
Okay. I'm
And
about
then-
to
but
watch
then-
the third
but then-
episode. So
Personally, Luis, I do like the last 2 episodes. Like,
they're the best episodes.
I know the last 2 episodes are fantastic. So 4 and 5 and 6 are great episodes. I don't want to say anything about it because it's gonna
Yeah.
be such a surprise. You're gonna be like, oh my god, okay, I didn't expect
it's
this.
pretty
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
It's pretty great so far. I'm liking everything about it.
Then it's gonna get greater. I mean,
Yeah, it's gonna get really good.
honestly, yeah, but
All right. All right.
Rewinding. So rewinding. Okay, so here's the deal.
What about Peacemaker? Have you watched Peacemaker, Luis? Out of curiosity,
Peacemaker's hilarious.
it's really well done. It's James Gunn.
Love
So
Peacemaker, yes.
James Gunn.
So again, there's sometimes when you get to see. Here's the problem with the Eternals, right? Eternals it was like the Justice League. You put too many characters in one spot in one time, and it was hard to develop them. You know, that's when Marvel first came out. Here's an Iron Man movie. Here's a Captain America movie. Here's a
They
Thor
took
movie.
their time, right?
They took their time, right? Eternals for me was lip service to the audience, okay? You want a homosexual superhero? Here you go. You want a female deaf, they put all these things in there just to try to make people happy, but they put them all in one, space them out. For me, Eternals would have been a much better as a Disney Plus show
Right,
than a movie.
right,
'Cause you
and
have-
not like one of these little 6-episode runs, like something that's like 10 or
Right.
12 episodes, like the old Netflix
Right.
shows, where you get
You
a
know,
chance
they're
to go
great
through some
characters.
stuff.
They're great characters, but space them out. You got seven characters you're trying to introduce in one movie, and you're not going to do a very good service to each one of them.
Right.
I mean, did you guys watch Hawkeye at all?
I liked it.
Yeah, I like
I like-
Hawkeye a lot.
I like Hawkeye, so I actually bought that at the end of that Kingpin Hawaiian shirt. I have that. So
Oh, did you? Nice.
yeah, so I'm going to do the Kingpin.
And that was a nice little nod, right? For if you watch the Netflix Daredevils, I mean, it was a fun little nod to bring him in
Yeah.
as Kingpin.
Right.
Right.
And then
then
Daredevil
Murdoch.
shows up in Spider-Man, which was kind of fun
Yeah,
too,
that was
right?
awesome.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was really good. And, dude, I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, as soon as that movie came out and I saw those guys, get on screen, I went through my toy chest and I saw those figures. Those figures
Nice.
were gone.
Nice.
My $8 Spider-Man went for $100. I said, "Shit."
No kidding. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
My Dr. Octopus went for $100. Again, I was
Wow.
like, I held it for 20 years. I need to pay some bills.
Let me go ahead and get rid of these. Well, you know
I
what I
love
thought was
you,
fun? I went and saw the first Spider-Man like the first week, maybe even the Friday or Saturday. So there's a big crowd, right? So it's a big, this is before really Omicron started taking off when this movie hit. And anyway, we're in there with a big crowd, and seeing it with a big crowd was so much fun because it had all
Yeah.
those moments. Like when Daredevil hits the screen, all of a sudden there's this huge roar of. And so I took my daughter to see it a couple weeks later when she got into town, and it was a much smaller crowd, and you didn't have all those moments, and she didn't know who Daredevil was. And then there was some other moments, like when Andrew Garfield walks onto the screen. Oh my God, the fucking audience went nuts. It was like, picking up Mjolnir kind of moment, for everybody.
Dude,
And
that's why
the second time they didn't have it, so that was kind of fun to have that in a movie theater. The big crowd responses and
That's
stuff.
why you have to go
Yeah.
for the first week or opening weekend. Everybody's hyped about it. People let go of emotions. I mean, honestly, when I went to go see Bohemian Rhapsody, right, the movie, that opening weekend, my nephew's a big fan. So
I
me
saw
and
it
my
the opening
sister-
weekend too. I had to sit there and look at the screen like this because there was no
great.
seats.
Dude, everybody was singing along.
Yes.
When they did the Live Aid, the whole audience was singing. I was
Yes.
like, wow, and you just appreciated it more because of the rush and everybody's appreciation.
The
for it.
energy in the room, man, it really does. You know, it was a lot of fun.
It changes everything. You know,
Yes.
so yeah, the same thing happened when I saw, Endgame. You know, the hammer part when he's like Avengers
Oh my
Assemble.
God.
I was like, yeah.
But
I
people were
was
still
pumped.
cheering about that a month later. So it was
Yeah.
still one of those moments where a month later
Yeah,
you go see it and they're
it's
still
true.
cheering. So that
It's
was a
true.
big moment.
And of course, I'm not gonna lie though, man. In that, Infinity War, when Peter Parker evaporated, I ain't gonna lie, I teared. You know,
Of course you teared.
I teared. I was like, and of course, you already know he's coming out with another movie, but I'm still like, I mean, but what I read somewhere, I go into these rabbit holes on YouTube, is they told him, okay, your next, Tom, your instruction is you don't want to leave, you don't want to go. So Tom said, screw it, that's a great idea. So he just verbally said, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And I'm like, oh fuck, God, that's great, It's like,
There's another moment in Civil War between those two where they kind of talked about when they were blocking the scene and him and Robert Downey Jr. meet for the first time and they're walking around his room. And there's a scene where Tom Holland goes and sits down on the bed and Robert Downey Jr. walks up and he goes, move over, I'm going to sit down here. That was
Right.
actually in the blocking, but he forgot he didn't move. So
Yeah.
they
Right.
want to be a part of the thing. Move over, let me,
Right. Because
So-
what happened was Tom Holland put his leg in the way where Robert Downey Jr. was supposed to sit.
right.
And Robert Downey Jr., being the freaking, very good, improv guy, says,
Oh, he's a
move
pro,
your leg
yeah.
here. I'm gonna move your leg over. I'm gonna sit here.
Right.
And that was just
And
classic.
it just worked. It actually winds up in the
Yes.
final take. And so, and
Yeah,
even the
no,
bit
that
with the get this thing off me with the web or whatever like that, that wasn't in the script either. And he's just like, get this off of me. And it
I know,
was just
dude, he
pitch
did-
perfect.
He did such great improv because he kept, I'm not gonna, whatever made Robert Downey Jr., he brought to Tony Stark. Tony
Yeah.
Stark wasn't that cool in the comics, right? I always considered Tony
Right,
Stark
right.
a jerk. I didn't like him. I just felt bad for him because he was a recovering alcoholic, and he had all these kind of
Right.
demons. He had a storyline called Demon in the Bottle, which was about him, recovering from alcoholism, right? But at the end of the day, he was a guy in a suit, and he had no personality, right? He had no
Right.
personality. Robert Downey Jr., I mean, again, if I was in charge of Marvel at the time, I would open with Captain America. Why? Because it's Captain America, comparing them to, but you put somebody like Robert Downey Jr. with that kind of flair that he brings, and you gotta remember
Yeah.
at the time, what was Robert Downey Jr. doing? He wasn't doing anything.
Well,
He was
and that
making
was
stuff.
Favreau. Favreau's like,
Yeah.
this is your guy. This is your I'm telling you, this is your guy. And fought for him tooth and nail and said, this guy is Tony Stark. I mean, he's got all
and
these
he got him-
demons
and
and
he
everything
got
like
him
that,
dirt-
you know?
He got him dirt cheap, right? He got him dirt cheap.
And they got him
in that
dirt
first-
cheap for the first couple of movies. I think he was signed on for 2 or 3 or whatever for the first.
Well, from what I remember was because the first guy who played Rhodes, right? I forgot his name because they replaced him with Don Cheadle.
Oh, right. Yes. I know the guy you're
Because-
talking about.
Yeah, because
Right.
because Iron Man took some of his paycheck away. So he got mad. So they said, "Okay, you're fired. We're going with Don Cheadle, who's coming."
Right, because for the next movie, right. Downey wanted more money for the next movie, and so they had
Right.
to take some money out of Rhodes' pay, and he was
Right,
like, I don't
yeah.
want to, So they're like, all right, fine, we'll bring in Don Cheadle.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. And Don Cheadle's himself a very good credited actor, and and then if they come out with the Armor Wars series on Disney Plus,
Uh-huh.
that's going to be mostly Don Cheadle. These guys are getting a good, regular, steady paycheck, and they're everybody knows them.
Not to
people-
mention
I mean-
Robert brought on what's her name too, Gwyneth Paltrow. That was
Yes.
his pull. He was
That was
like,
his
I think
pull.
we have good chemistry. I'd like to bring her in on this, and he got her paid really well when she finally did come back, because she left for a while, and she didn't want to make those movies anymore. She got married, had a baby, all that stuff. But then when she came back, Downey's like, look, I'll get you money like I get. And got her some major paychecks just to show up and do her little, 2-3 scenes in the movies.
Did you guys see that chef TV show on Netflix that Favreau had, where he's like cooking with people and stuff? And this one,
No.
Yes, that Favreau had, yes, because right after
Yeah.
he did his movie Chef, yes, I saw a
right
couple
after he
of
did
those.
the movie Chef, so he has a bunch of people from the Marvel world in this thing, and he has Gwyneth Paltrow, and he brings up a movie, and Gwyneth Paltrow goes, "What movie was that?" Favreau was like, Gwyneth, you're in that movie. And of course, every comic book fan was watching this was like, I can't believe it. At least I was. I'm like, dude, you were in that movie. You were in that movie. Oh my gosh. You're just like, wow, Gwyneth. You just goes back to selling your
So
candles.
is that one of the problems with Marvel right now, though, is that they just don't have as charismatic of figures? I mean, because Chris Evans, Captain America, was a very charismatic figure. Is it that they don't have
Well,
the right...
I mean, I think it's going to be Spider-Man and Doctor Strange as the new Avengers,
Yeah, Polly's right. You have
And
to
if
go.
you bring in Daredevil, then you're
You have
talking
to go
about a pretty potent cast.
Yeah, so if you can bring in
you have
Daredevil,
to go-
but some of these other characters, right, that have just, the sort of the new breed, I would say, of the Marvel stuff, it just hasn't really caught on with a lot of people, and part of me wonders if,
Like somebody told me the other day. I'm like, did you watch the new so-and-so? They said, no, Luis, I haven't. I said, why? She goes, I already gave Marvel 10 years of my life. I saw an ending.
Yep.
Moving on. And I was like, I was like, how dare you, And
Well, I mean, everything that, I mean, Facebook is a great example. Their stock fell by billions yesterday because everything that rises falls. So we've had a great run with Marvel, and maybe they'll make some more stuff. But with the pandemic, with streaming, life is just different. We started the show off talking about Spotify. Those kind of things. The streaming thing changes everything. Used to be you could get your music at least downloaded. Nobody wants to download your music anymore. They don't want your fucking CD. They're gonna turn on some streaming thing, and it'll pass by their consciousness.
Right.
And they'll go, oh yeah, whatever.
Oh yeah, I listened to Paul yesterday, and Paul got 0.000006 cents for my listen.
Oh, speaking of 0.00, we're about to run out of our few listeners we have.
Oh, look at that!
He's got my stuff on vinyl. You gotta love him, man.
Well, we traded. We had an awesome dude. I did not.
Oh, nice! The backbeats, awesome.
Thank you, Polly, for this. You know what? You forgot to sign them. So if I go down for French Quarter Fest, I'm bringing a Sharpie, dude, because you're signing all this shit,
You're funny.
I did not expect this one. I was so jazzed when I saw this shit. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I was so
Probably
jazzed.
less so once you heard it, but yeah, no, it's Vance
No, dude,
DeGeneres
I
and
heard it before
the
online.
little baby Fred LeBlanc and Steve Walters.
And look, I've been talking to Griffith about trying to release the new Red Rockers record we've been mixing on vinyl. So hopefully you can add that first Red Rockers.
Does. I would really, I'd buy that one on vinyl.
I had two Red Rocker vinyls, both of them, and Griff's like, "Can I have them?" I was like,
well, I actually bought Good as Gold.
Like,
I have Good as Gold. I had their first one on CBS Records, the one that has China. I found that at Louisiana Music Factory not long ago. And,
well, apparently they told me China wasn't on the first record. Like the one I'm doing is actually the first record.
No, the first. Well, but that wasn't on CBS. That was on 415 Records in San Francisco, and then 415 Records, tiny little punk label in San Francisco, got bought by CBS, and then next record got a lot more budget behind it, and they made the record with China.
Okay.
Well, and the funny thing is like I've listened to some tracks off of that record versus what we're doing here, and it's like it sounds like two different bands, right? I mean, they got on CBS, and suddenly, I guess
they really they really went more towards making hits on CBS, and they were on MTV with China and with Good as Gold and Eve of Destruction, which had the co-vocal with Exene from X. And so they were cool, man. I was a Rockers fan.
Well, Destruction is on the first record.
You had the cool first album that has a song, Teenage Underground.
Yes, we mixed that one.
That is like one of my favorite songs.
That's the one Mikey's talking about that they remixed.
Yeah, okay. That song is like...
That's going to be on the new record. Now, we just have to convince him to do it in vinyl.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That song is like has one of the best lyrics ever, like in my whole life, And I even use it. I steal it from them. The lyric is, "I don't need to know what cool is. It's in my blood." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's in your blood, Griff. Yeah." So, and then it's like, when I'm this whole summer, someone would be like, "Hey, man, aren't you hot?" I'm like, "Man, cool's in my blood. I don't even have to worry about it." And I just see it like it rolls out, but I'm like, I'm sweating, I'm hot, but they don't need to know this. I just steal that line, Not many people are going to go back and come back and be like, "That was a Red Rockers song." I'd be like, "Who are the Red Rockers?" You know, so
So now you need to be outside doing your snow thing, going, "Hey man,
shit,
the
I know,
heat
cool's
is in my blood."
Dude, I have like this big old marmot coat that, you know, they use to climb, you know, Everest and stuff. You know, that's what I do when I'm outside. Trust me, I'm warm. I'm warm.
You
when I'm
have my
snowboarding.
sympathies, Louise. It's good to see you. You have my sympathies on.
But for sure,
It was
but here's the
70.
deal. But here's the deal. Next Monday, I have President's Day off. Are you guys gonna be available? We can do this on next Monday.
I am actually. Let me see. Let me make sure. I'm saying, yeah. I always love to be like.
Not this Monday, but a week from this Monday. So the whatever after.
Yeah, Mikey says yes every time you ask him if he wants to do it, and then he texts me privately to say he's got a job, or else he just forgets. And
All right, no.
he's got a
All right,
job.
so I will be in. You're talking about the 14th, right?
Yes.
Because I'm
That's
free
President.
to do shows next
That's
week.
a Valentine's Day too, is it not?
It is Valentine's Day.
Well, you guys have honeys, you know. It's
Well, I can't do next Friday, but I could do Monday and Wednesday because I got to go. Allie's senior night for college. I got to go driving up to Memphis on Friday, but I can do Monday and Wednesday next week, and I can do that Monday the 14th at Valentine's Day if y'all want to do a special Valentine's Day.
I think it's President's. I think it's President's Day too. That's why I'm off. The markets are closed, so I'm off.
We'll work it out when we're not on the air.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Well, people are already asking us if we're going to do it again on the thing. So
Okay,
I'm like,
so
oh,
we'll
let's
do
see.
it on Monday and Wednesday of next week, and we'll do
Yeah.
it on Valentine's Day.
Well,
Done.
if it's
Valentine's.
Valentine's Day, you know what?
Set in
Let's come up
stone.
with
Set
let's
in
come up with a
stone,
quick,
right?
let's
It's set in
let's come up
stone.
with a quick list of our favorite love songs, like 5 apiece.
Oh, can we all make up like one-liners? Can we do like 5 one-liners and we'll like give you some. We'll help you with. It's kind of like you can go to the to your SEC class and go, hey, these are mine, and they're not.
Well, here's the deal. One last thing. They say people steal from everybody, right?
That's
and
right.
I'm trying not to steal. I mean, like I said.
No, you have to steal. It's not art if you don't steal.
Oh, dude, you do not know how many lines I can steal from you or from Paul just like hearing you guys talk all the time and your storytelling.
Take them. We're not doing anything with them.
I just can't do
Yeah.
it. I just can't. I just can't do it.
So instead, you say, "Mom, you said you never dated any handsome guys. Well, why you dated your dad, then?" You sound sad when you say it. It's like,
dude, you gotta remember.
Wow.
I've been practicing these things to myself and to I was like, dude, I have actually a Christ joke, and my friend got mad at me. I'm like,
ooh, yeah.
How can you get mad at me? It's a joke. I'm Catholic. Okay.
People don't like it when you joke about Jesus. I've tried joking about Jesus, man, and then they get very serious about Jesus. And Jesus, he was a very funny guy.
He was.
He liked to drink wine with his brothers, and
He was a carpenter. I know working with carpenters, you sit around, you're working with wood, so you got to tell jokes all day and drink wine.
That's what they do. Yeah, it's very, very funny.
Jesus was fucking with the other guys. Telling him, you're my least
He
favorite
didn't call
apostle.
it that.
Maybe not, but he was still playing the dozens. He was still messing with him.
So here's the deal then. March 5th.
That would be interesting. Jesus playing you want to play the dozens? The dozens is a game, but the way I blessed your mother is you can't finish it.
I know where you were going.
Fine. We can do our top 5. We can do our top 5 one-liners, and we can do our top 5 love songs.
Love song. Thanks.
That's Valentine's Day.
All right.
All right.
Or top 3.
All right.
And
So
5 may be hard. 5 may be hard. Maybe we'll go 3 songs. We'll go
All
with
right,
3 songs.
we've gone now. We've gone 15 minutes over.
15 minutes. We're having so much fun. We went ahead to go.
We're so much fun for each other.
So I'll have my cup on Monday. When we come back on Monday, I'll bring my cup.
Okay. All right.
And maybe we can have our little contest. Who wants a free cup? You guys let us know.
We'll see what happens on Monday.
We'll see what happens on Monday.
We already have plans for Valentine's Day that I'm totally going to forget the plans for Valentine's Day anyway, so let's not make plans for Monday. I have to remember 2 things that I'll forget.
Got you. We'll take it one day at a time. How about that? We'll do Monday, Wednesday.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks
Good to
everybody
see you,
for
fella.
tuning in. It was fun. I did see a lot of people show up that had shown up before, so thank you guys for showing up. It was a lot of fun, and Luis is already gone. Let me get him off there because he looks kind of silly. Now, you know what? I'll leave him up for a second. Nah, he looks silly. I'll get rid of him. There we go. So, yes.
All right, Mike. It was good to see you. It was good to chit-chat again.
Absolutely.
It's so different now with the world being open and stuff. And people are out there. They don't do this anymore, this chit-chatting by... Or maybe they do. I don't know.
It seemed like people kind of hung out and tuned in. Plus, they can do this while they're at work. They just put their little earpiece in and they smile at everybody like they're paying attention to them, but they're not. They're listening to us. I don't blame them. I do the same thing all the time these days. I'm like looking at people in the face, listening to something else, going, yeah, just nodding your head.
You've been doing that to me for years. Long before that was even earpieces, you were doing that to me.
So,
all right, it's good to see you, buddy.
You too, man. We'll
see you
Monday.
Monday.
See you Monday. Take it easy, guys.
Well, I used to keep my money in a cookie jar. It was shaped like a cat, it was a present from my brother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. Well, her hair is as black as an alleyway, and it used to be red, and it used to be blonde. Truth is, her hair changes color all the time. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. Well, I'm staring at her shoulder, but it's not what I see when I hear two fellas fighting in the booth across from me. So I wipe away the ashes from an empty counter seat, and I wished I wasn't homesick, I wish I was